Gradually after his early years through education, he married the wonderful Margaret Emily Whale Okay, this sentence is too long. The Three Railway Engines was published to readers in Great Britain and became a success, selling 22,500. Okay. Eventually, Middleton was fired, and as of the 9th impression in 1949, C. Reginald is it Darby? I'm going to say both. In spite of this, the success of the Three Railway Engines prompted Wilbert to write the sequel book, which features Thomas in his very own book, continuing his advent. Okay. We don't need to say book twice. Wooden Railway, represent! Wooden Railway, represent! The illustration of Thomas, on the other hand, is based on a London, Brighton, and South Coast Railway E2 class tank engine, as illustrated by Reginald Payne, now redone by C. Reginald Dalby. Yeah, it's not Darby. That was me being silly before, I apologize. How are you? How are you doing, man? I'm doing good. I'm reading these words. These words are my own, from my heart flow. I like you as a friend. Sorry. It's been a long day. Another motorcycle. And moved to Stroud in Gloucestershire, where he spent for his final... Okay. No 4. There doesn't need 4. Okay. The plans for the 27th book of the Railway series, as titled Really Useful Engines, had already been set for Wilbert... That was my phone, sorry. As for his elder child, Christopher, he was happily married with Diana, and they had a young child of their own named Richard. And they had a young child of their own named Richard. Sorry, a plane just went by. Sorry, it's really loud. I don't know, maybe you can't hear it, but it's like shaking the entire house. Just my luck, every time I open the microphone. Okay, we're getting there. Just waiting for it to go by. How are you? Okay. After that, Christopher started to become an ambitious writer and wrote the first paragraphs. Ted Ray read aloud 5 Railway series book volumes to be adapted for television in Jackanory, which were aired from September 18th to October 2nd, 1970 by the BBC. Ted Ray read aloud 5 Railway series book volumes to be adapted for television in January, which was aired by the BBC from September 18th to October 2nd, 1970. The solution? Enter David Mitten, who had worked for Jerry Anderson on Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet, Joe 90, and UFO. Enter David Mitten, who worked for Jerry Anderson on Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons. Okay, I think I'm gonna get this right.
Mysterons.
Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons. Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons. Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons. Ringo... After a long time production in In 1985, Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends have been nominated by BAFTA in the... Is it BAFTA or BAFTA? I'm going to say both to avoid looking silly. Okay. That doesn't stop Thomas from continuing his success with through merchandising, I think. Okay. This includes the addition of changeable molded, gotcha. Well, I think I've been spelling molded wrong my whole life. It's like mold as in moldy. Sorry, that's my stream of consciousness. These were all made using both solid lead and plasticine for wide shots. Oh, lead. Oh, solid lead. I'm a fool. It's like 7 in the morning. This was the first series to introduce the first set of diesel locomotives as well, like Devious Diesel, Daisy, and Boko. Everyone loves Boko. With the second series already aired, the life on television for Thomas is highly regarded at its peak in quality, as it still is today. Oh, I like season 4. Okay, all right, that's an opinion. Just kidding. I don't mean to start a tussle. Season 5's the best. No, just kidding. I like season 5. Season 5 is awesome. You know what? We shouldn't do this. We can't. We gotta. No, we should be. No, we shouldn't be objective or subjective. We should just not start. Yeah, we shouldn't start a quarrel. Yeah. There we go. I'm gonna move on. A year. Back in England, the show had once again been nominated by BAFTA alongside Super Ted, Paddington Goes to School, Max Headroom's Giant Christmas Turkey, Danger Mouse, and The Wind in the Willows in the short animation category. And the winner was, drumroll please, Super Ted! Back in England, the show had once again been nominated by BAFTA alongside Superted, Paddington Goes to School, Max Headroom's Giant Christmas Turkey, Danger Mouse, and The Wind in the Willows in the animation category. And the winner was, drumroll please, Superted! Ah, oh, come on. I'm sure it was a great show. I think it's BAFTA. I think it is BAFTA. A few decades prior to the book's publication, let's go back to the year of 1949, in which Tank Engine Thomas Again was published to learn more about the universe of Sodor. A few decades prior to the book's publication, let's go back to the year of 1949, in which Thomas the Tank Engine Again was published to learn more about the universe of Sodor. A very detailed map of the island was developed very soon. It costs more than 100 euros for a seller's copy. Or pounds. That's pounds. Yep, that's pounds. Sorry. The Skarloey Railway, both inspired based on... Okay. Tallyflin. I'm pretty sure it's Tallyflin. If I'm wrong, you can pants me at my wedding. Nope, no, you can't do that, but I am going to... I'm going to do my best. We're going to see the thing. All right, just turning a page. There was another narrow gauge line called the Mid-Sodor Railway, which closed in January 1947 after over 60 years of service due to its decline. Duke, no! Sorry, I'm emotional. Other than Stanley, welcome, sorry. There were 2 stations in Arlesdale, and one of which was located at the northern end of town that was tragically closed after the service with the Mid-Sodor Railway had ended 20 years later. Oh, earlier, sorry. Or Driumdigan in Sudrick, of all stops on the railway. Driumdigan! That is Sudrick, if I've ever read it. Home to the real-world counterparts of Okay, I think you should put "thes" in front of the different railways. After meeting with Rick Segelow, I'm going to say this name a few times. Sigelkow. I'm going to say Sigelkow, and if you need me to re-record this, I will. After meeting with Rick Sigelkow of Swinet... Oh, sorry. Which was beautifully composed by Joe Raposo. Speaking of whom, in order to make the character smaller than the other people, this was when the crew had to painstakingly shrink him down to 18 inches tall through ultra-matte. Speaking of whom, in order to make the character smaller than the other people, this was when the crew had to painstakingly shrink him down to 18 inches tall through ultra-matte. I'm going to say this a few times. I'm Sorry, there's a few words I've never seen before, and thank you for teaching me these words, but I'm going to try to say them a few times, so I hopefully say them right. Speaking of whom, in order to make the character smaller than the other people, this was when the crew would have to painstakingly shrink him down to 18 inches tall through ultramati. Through ultramati. Through ultramate. Through ultramate. There's no accent. As for the Thomas stories, when the series was eventually bought from England, sorry. Thanks to child development psychiatrist Dr. Wrong Slab. Okay, I apologize. Here are a few examples of dialogue differences in both versions. Trucks, guard. Fat. Sir Topham. In addition... Oh, sorry, my voice cracked. In addition, the episode titles were also changed for the children in America to understand as well. I'm sorry, this is sad. I never liked this. I say trucks, or at least I try to. You know. I said cars a few times in my series, but, you know, this gets stuck in your head, you know, and this is done so the American children could understand. Oh, well. I understand why they did this, but I would like to say that I'm an exception. I think I got it. I love the part in the Alicia Body Season 6 episode where the dialogue changes. Gordon calls Percy a peasant, but not in the U.S. version. I think that's the funniest part of the show. Go UK dub. Rock on. I'll listen to Angelus over Brandon any day. Oh my gosh. If anyone disagrees, I'm going to smack them. Just kidding. That's not. We should discuss. This is about discussion. We just can't. We have to be able to listen. Sorry, I'm rambling here. Sorry, I just lost my place while I went on that rant, but here we are. The late Ari Magder, played by Dan Jones, Stacy's nephew and younger cousin of Matt. Oh, played Dan Jones. I'll fix that. The only regular cast who stayed on throughout the entire series. On a side note, George Carlin was nominated 2 times for the same category in 1992 and 1994. But no 93. Oh, come on. Britt Allcroft, Rick Sigelkow, and Nancy Chappelle won the Gemini Awards for Best Children's or Youth Fiction Program for Series in 1993. Ayo, there it is. Britt Allcroft, Rick Sigelkow, and Nancy Chappelle won the Gemini. Sorry. Brian would even meet and greet with the audience after the show. The premise of Wilbert's creation became very popular in Japan and resulted in lots of merchandising launched, including VHS tape. Sorry, okay, let me see how much time. And some range of departing, now toys. While Britt was planning to launch Thomas to American audiences with Shining Time Station alongside David Mitton and Robert D. Cardona were looking into making new Oh, okay. I see what we're doing here. The idea of and the inspiration for the series premise was drawn in from the history of Crowley Maritime Corporation, which developed into a series of competition between the 2 tugboat companies in a big city from time to time. And the inspiration for the series premise was drawn in from the history of Crawley Machine Company, which developed into a series of competition between the 2 tugboat companies in a big city from time to time. The production shooting began in 1987 and wrapped up the following year in December 1988. The production shooting began in 1987 and wrapped up the following year in December 1998. Oh, come on. The storyline for Tug's episodes, unlike that of Thomas, were considered to be a much slightly darker. Now, the reason why we show the faces of the individuals cast, speaking of which, they were discussing, however, plans for the single were nearly, but for Thomas, as far as popularity goes, this was only the beginning. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Going in. Dun dun dun. Okay, I've concluded that this chair, like, got it. No. If you guys just watched that, that was fantastic. It just happened live.
Oh no. Okay, I'm back.